All right. So, welcome to our discussion on Daredevil. And as of right now, the official trailer of Daredevil Born Again has come out, to my dismay. And I know there's a good chance that it could be good. It could be an Andor situation. Yeah, I heard with Skeleton Crew with how they absolutely don't even care about that show. So that shows that they're caring much less about Star Wars. Yeah, Andor season 2. They're they're finally diverging their attention from Star Wars into something much more profitable and more beloved, that is the MCU, which they should have done before, but they're already caught in the tracks of the Mandalorian hype, which diverged them from re-attentioning to Marvel. That's why Multiverse of Madness sucked, and that's why the entirety of that all went down in flames, or at least to the point that was lesser than Endgame. So this is Daredevil Born Again is their one chance to get the MCU back on track. And if they fail this, then it will go the way of Star Wars. So before we go into Daredevil Born Again, let's talk about Netflix Daredevil. I mean, it belongs to Netflix. I don't know what the hell Disney's doing there. I mean, ABC did have the rights, the distribution or producing rights to Netflix Daredevil, which ABC is a part of Disney. So, but it foremost is it is, yeah, ABC's Daredevil, I guess, or ABC slash Netflix's Daredevil in a way. So, but overall, it is Netflix. And this was during the time where, say, people call it Netflix Daredevil because that's where it premiered, yes. But this is where, the MCU was at its height from 2016 to 2018. And it was already diverging from the MCU formula where it's very less quippy, it's very less lighthearted, and it's so honestly, me and Cam, we did say about how the MCU all pointed towards Infinity War and Endgame, but take Netflix Daredevil out of the equation or into the equation. Could you say that Daredevil was pointing towards Endgame? Would you say that that has anything to do with it can feel really self-contained. I mean, there's hints with, of course, the Battle in New York being in the background, but I mean, with the kind of framing, the style of the show, does it really add that much to the MCU as a whole? That is kind of the beauty of it, that you can view it something that is a- opposite towards the MCU, yet somewhat in it. But even Disney divorced it after during the time of Endgame. They divorced it apart of the MCU. So that's what makes it the funniest, that even Disney didn't want it until it was profitable. So now let's go into the series Daredevil, and I will make a note that there were the whole Defenders thing, and which I did see Defenders. When exactly was it not part of the NCU, only the NCU again? I think it was from 2019 to 2021. It was during Endgame where they divorced it. But then when Daredevil showed up in No Way Home, Daredevil's back in the MCU, like he never left. Oh, whoopsie daisy. Mm, mm. So, okay, and there's all Daredevil's Iron Fist, the Defenders Iron Fist, yeah, Jessica Jones, and and Luke Cage, which all underperformed in comparison to Daredevil. Daredevil was obviously the best rated out of this whole microcosm of the MCU. So let's get back to Daredevil as Daredevil. All right, Daredevil. So seasons 1 through 3 as a whole, Yeah. So season 1 through 3 overall, yeah, it's definitely a far cry. It definitely feels unlike with the MCU. Like, okay, imagine if Paramount still had the MCU and they could have, like, if they did come up with some ideas for, like, okay, like, remember the whole experimental phase, like phase 2, like that if they did one of this was their experiment and that could have had more R-rated like MCU films. Think about that. With Daredevil's more like mature and retrospective style towards itself, and how it also is a crime drama. It focuses on the corruptive nature of, like, say, of Kingpin, of Fisk, and how that, of course, that the law is on a whim, like corruptible and easily corrupted to the point where all right, let me get some of those. Okay. So that Kingpin is just get your thought together. All right. So it does actually do a good job of showing that the crime drama. It's almost like as much as a vigilante show rather than a superhero show. Like, it's not about a cape, like a Cape Crusader stuff. It's more about vigilante justice, and it's kind of like what, kinda, not really like Watchmen, but it has that flair where you kind of judging, is like Matthew Murdock in the right for his vigilante justice, or is he in the wrong? And with Kingpin, of course, him being on top at first and no one judging him, like, but once Daredevil defeats him, he's locked up for 1 season. But then in the third season, he manages to turn the FBI into his own Gestapo. Like, he managed to make a deal with them. It does show the influence of how, even if Kingpin at season 3, like, they even said that his entire stock revenue, all that, was all depleted, but somehow he manages to get the FBI on his side because they acknowledge the power that he has, the potential he has as a very influential figure to inevitably make back on his promises. And once the FBI helped him get to that position, he did make back on his promises. So that does go under how Kingpin has this allure to him, even without the money, even without, say, the power and influence. When Daredevil defeated him, that he can easily get it back like that. So, yeah, back to Daredevil Born Again. Yes, he could be the mayor again. I just think that he was mayor too quickly. If he could have been, like, say that maybe we could saved it. I know that we could easily have the mayor open up that he's the mayor. Maybe that he was running for election instead of just, oh, he's the mayor. It would be nice that, say that he was running for election and it was leading up to him becoming mayor, but that he was mayor of New York City. I mean, I guess that's applicable with him breaking out of, I mean, getting out of jail and getting his influence back over over, like, the justice system. Yes, that is very applicable. Yeah. So, but back to, again, like, influence of power. I suppose Fisk went into it from a prisoner to literally owning a fully fleshed out penthouse in season 3. I think it's amazing how in season 2 he's barely in it. It's more focused on the Punisher as the primary antagonist, and that he, even in jail, he had very great influence, but not to the extent that say that he could get everything back. Like remember at the beginning of season 3, they did say that he was in dire situation, but somehow he did turn that all into his own advantage. That it does show that, and how Daredevil is always in this syphilis battle where he's keep rolling up the rock that is Fisk, only to have him come crashing down. You know. So, and let's get back to Daredevil. So about his idealism, especially working with the justice system and also working against it as a vigilante, that especially in the case of Frank Castle, who I swear when he was coming when Matthew Murdock was coming to defend Frank Castle, that he looked at him and he knew that that was Red, that was Daredevil, but he didn't bother to give away his secret identity because he didn't care. He was shocked, but he wasn't surprised that a blind man was his, and also that Matthew Murdock was the guy who he was tussling with the other time, and to the point where they're having the philosophical discussion on ethical dilemmas, that was coming to defend him, but he wasn't surprised. Or no, he was surprised, but he wasn't shocked. He was surprised that he would have the circumstances to be his lawyer, but he wasn't shocked that he would come to defend him. That, and it's kind of like that Joker situation, that even if Joker knew Batman's identity, he wouldn't publicly give that away because there's that amount of respect that the Punisher had for Daredevil, that he wouldn't stand right up there say this man is Daredevil. He would just sit quietly and like typical this guy, that of course he would be a lawyer, of course he would do this, of course he would stand up for the faulty justice system. And yeah, but except that with Joker, that was more the fun of it. There's just a mutual respect for him, and that the also even further that Punisher does not care about the justice system, so he does not care about, say, giving him away. That it, and also respect that he would, it wouldn't inevitably ruin Murdoch's life. So inevitably, he sees the justice system as a charade and as an act. So he wouldn't even give away just to say, "Oh, the justice system doesn't matter." But he does acknowledge the justice system would crucify him if he gave away Matthew Murdoch's secret identity. That he would. So he did mutually respect him by keeping his secret private. Someone that may ask how this version of Punisher compares to the PS2 version of the Punisher. Haven't played it, but I heard others who have. So, I guess we should also get. Now that we're talking about the antagonists to Daredevil, let's talk about Poindexter, aka Bullseye. Eh, eh. So, yeah, a big divergence from the over the top Irishman's portrayal of Bullseye as a OCD riddled like orphaned military soldier who essentially becomes Kingpin's tool, but but there's also, I do love with Kingpin how he will Colin Firth apply award-winning makeup for the performance of Lifetime in his compelling crime drama as Bullseye. So, and I do like how Kingpin, kind of like Batman, has this little in that detective mode on Poindexter. Like he goes into his backstory, he goes into the life of how he was orphaned and he killed his stepfather, and that he went into his discussion with his therapist, who even acknowledged that he was a psychopath or had psychopathical tendencies, but she did put the time into it to or lessen his psychopathical tendencies, and to the point where he was a teenager and that she was dying of cancer, which is a double woozy, double, a double like screw up on his life. That not only his parents died, but that his therapist, the closest thing that he had to a mother, had cancer and left him to die. And it was this very beautiful moment with how, with facing death, even with Bullseye, or at this point, Poindexter, where his life was so riddled with death that he couldn't bear to see any bright side of death, but that his therapist is trying to see that death can be a beautiful thing when done properly and when managed, when having a good life to meet it. And I'm gonna put a pin in this. You know, I know that Daredevil Born Again could be good, but with all the stuff with She-Hulk, Echo, Hawkeye, could they ever get to the writing quality of Daredevil seasons 1 through 3? I don't think so. Maybe Daredevil Born Again, if they get the guys to come back, maybe, or take the work into it, take the effort to get this quality writing back into the MCU, then maybe it could revive. Maybe the MCU could flourish if they could take this level of quality that was in this one therapist scene with Poindexter, of meeting of this grace and this dignity towards like a person's life, and towards how he does not see death as something any great, but his therapist is trying to put the effort into this. And that's why I mean, seasons 1 to 2 were the most like action oriented. It had great drama in it, but I think 3 was more the retrospective. All the themes, all the stuff coming into the climax of season 3, especially with, say, for example, Agent Nadim and his family life working for the FBI. He went from trying to get his kid a pool and actively helping Kingpin to get back into a position of authority that he once was, all at first for his kid's pool. And that you feel that loss, that he was just trying to help his family out, but that Kingpin is actively sabotaging himself so he could fall into his trap. You feel that, especially when Nadim lost everything and his family had to move away, and when Matt revealed himself to Nadim. That there's one scene. How do you do that? How do you get your friends all to come back to you? How do you? I can't even do that with my wife. How do you do that? I don't come to them. They come to me. They come to me. See, this level of writing that even season 3 still managed to pull. It managed to stick the landing. And honestly, season 3 still feels to me like a satisfying conclusion to Daredevil. It's not that Daredevil Born Again can't still continue on the story. I just say that, can it ever get better than this quality of writing? And I'm gonna go even more into spoiler territory, especially with the plot twist that the nun who was caretaking Matt when he was learning to get over his recoveries. I mean, when he was learning recovery, was turned out to be Matt's mother. And man, that went like a shell shock. And that she actually, when she was a young nurse, she a little like committed some, like a little like a jovial love story between the boxer, and then they had a love affair, and that she thought she had committed she committed like an unforgivable sin. She thought she had done an unthinkable crime against her, so she had to leave her son and her lover, all for him to take care of his son on his own. And yeah, and I also love when like Matt comes to the priest who knew this the whole time, and he was even at the pool table, and he said, "Wait, you're a priest?" And showing that, the little like the flaws of the priest. And this one moment where Matt says, shame on you. You know, if this were, say, another show, you know, if this were, say, let's say Hazbin Hotel, for example. I know Hazbin Hotel, I've beaten it to a blade pulp, or let's say Hello Boss, or something else, something, or even MCU, or something else, more, or that this would be a little bit more over dramatic. This would be a bit more like, you lied to me, you scum, like you cursing and like, cursing him out. But I just love the subtlety of how he said, shame on you. No cursing, no damning, no F bomb, no, C words, no slurring all these words at him. Just that subtle little thing, that subtle shame on you, and putting that to the priest, and putting that in his head, and him feeling absolutely devastated after that, and to show that tact, I think, yeah, that tact, that wittiness, to and not to over dramatize it, and have that gravitas towards this, that sophistication. No playing in the typical tropes of the lie reveal cliche, just well written dialogue. Yeah, it's that shame on you. That simple 3-word sentence, shame on you for doing this to me. After all the times where, like, Matt, as a kid, went to the priest and said about the theological discussions, about all that, and all this coming to him seeing as lying and betraying. And yeah, that it it really does show how could Daredevil born, they have to have some great writers, some extremely well written. I have to, because my standards for season 3 is that high. It is that high. There's also a I'm gonna, no, I'm not gonna do that. Yeah, there's it's that high. How can Born Again manage to get this level of sophistication? How? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But they have to do their homework, though. They have to watch all 3 seasons back to back so many times, if necessary, to get Born Again right. They have to probably watch it for months. They have to do it for that long in order to get. So that's how high the standards are. And if they don't, then that's why I'm not that optimistic for Daredevil, because I know Born Again will not reach the highs that season 3, or let's go back to seasons 1 and 2 just to hammer my home. There's also this one point where, like, Bobby figured out that Matt was Daredevil, and he was absolutely fuming, and that he was wait, how many fingers am I holding up? One. Ah, you son of a bitch. That, yeah, it was such a well done scene, and also especially with why Matt does this thing. Why not go to the police? Why that it was with this parent who raped their child, and that he was inevitably, he thought he'd do what any citizen do, like report that to police, but the father got clever. He had to hide his tracks better, so that his wife would, but when he called, his wife was like, how could my husband do that? And he wondered who this was. So he had his wife under his tools, so he could keep his daughter in his little trap, but he had to beat up that guy and make sure that he never went near his daughter again, and that he had to beat up someone's father in order to make their own, yeah, father not rape their own kid, or coddle their own kid up like that. And that is the initiation that the law wasn't enough for Matthew. And he still had to be a lawyer. He still had to do that because he had to pay the bills, and he had to believe in the system could work. But he still could not ignore the fact that the law was not enough. That the law is almost never enough. And that it's a very losing, it's a very like lose almost at times system that Matt is going against. and that him as Daredevil and as Matthew Murdock has to face. And now play into that with in season 2 when he was talking with the Punisher, with who hammers this sentiment more that he doesn't even believe in the law. He doesn't believe in it's like that My Hero Academia character let's for I it's been long since I've done My Hero Academia. It's I think it's the Stain, yes, the hero killer Stain. Like who in a way Deku is like Matthew Murdock, aka Daredevil, and that except there is that difference between one of course is a sign in a shonen where they talk out these things instead of punch and you're the bad guy, I'm the good. It's not that My Academia is simplistic, too simplistic shonen. It does have its nuances, but it doesn't do it nearly well where it could with a sign in like Daredevil, where that they seinen seinen. Yes, thank you, Callum. That that where Punisher says that I think you're wrong, which part all of it. I think there's no goodness scum I put down. How do you know? I just know. Look around you. It's a sewer. It stinks. It smells like shit, and I can't get the smell out of my nose. I think in this world, it needs the man that will take the stuff off. That's bullshit. That's bullshit, and you know it. Only I do what you can't. You hit them, they get back up. I hit them, I stay down. It's permanent. I make sure that no scum gets out on the street. I take pride in that. Back to the whole raping uh, parent thing. I think if this were like the Punisher or like Frank in this position, I think he would just go straight up and murder the guy in front of his own daughter, and or maybe find some way of seeing like his wife and having him murdered right in front of her. Yeah, that is how what Frank would have done if he were Matt when he was doing his first outing as Daredevil by taking by yes, it's telling that Punisher killed a man trying to sell child porn. Oh, yes. So, but if there were, there's that one, it pulls no punches. But he was not in this position where Matthew was in because it was Matthew who took down that guy and put him in the hospital. But he wouldn't even put that. Frank would have put him in the morgue, guess you would say. He would put him in the grave and have his own daughter and wife cry at them, knowing that their father's a monster. And at least and think about that. That Frank would have had the wife and child tell let them know that their parent is a monster rather than having it lie and say that their father was some or to his wife that his letting it somewhat a lie that he was a good man because there's no way to that he would that Matthew would convince her that that he was a monster, but Frank would find some way. He would do it bloodily, like to the point where they would fear him more than they would fear the father, who actually even the child would fear him more than she would fear her father. Wow. So that so yeah, about all that. So I think to round this up in like what would you say about Wilson Fisk's influence in season 2? I'd say that it's with Punisher and Fisk since they're both in jail. It's the matter of that it's a cat and mouse thing. It's that say that even with all like even with nothing to lose, even Punisher still can't kill Fisk. Like I think that Punisher would die proudly while trying to kill Fisk, but even he in prison with every chance he could, even when staring face to face with him, he still couldn't kill Fisk no matter what. Like that even Fisk has a power over Punisher that or some sway or some like hunter esque appealing to his like animalistic urges, like his predatorial urges to say that that Punisher doesn't want that Frank doesn't want to kill like Fisk too easily like this. He wants it to be more of a sport thing, and killing him in prison or killing him up most like this, where he's at an easy advantage, is too easy. Like even the point where Fisk sent a bunch of sent a bunch of prisoners after him. He was fighting the fight. He was fighting the predators, but Fisk was only just he had no arms on him. He wasn't even prepared to fight. So that's what ruins the fight for Frank. That would ruin his hunter prey instead of just having the prey. So Fisk knows how to be the easy prey. Too easy to the point where it's not fun anymore for Frank to actively dispatch him from the world, to show how Frank is not just doing this for justice. He's doing this for his own predatorial nature, his own vicious way to see life as he sees fit, to condemn and hunt those as he sees dead. Even if this is one of them, he still has no fighting chance of fighting. I mean, he does. Fisk attacks him. He does attack him, but still, Frank doesn't manage to kill him. Why? Even if Wilson Fisk has attacked him, and he could easily have his men kill him, like Fisk's men kill him. He still won't openly kill him. He still even when he has nothing to lose, because he still has more hunt. He still has more fishes to kill. Like he's still a shark, and that's why one day I will come to kill you, just not today. That my job ain't done yet. That once I come back, that is why even when jail, because he still has that general who screwed him over to kill. But he could have easily killed Fix too, but he still had some vicious vendettas to take down. I do love that with Karen, yes, Karen, her relationship with the Punisher is definitely interesting. I mean, because at first you don't see why does she care so much about the Punisher, about Frank. Why does she care about his case? She's the most active activist for him, the advocating for him. She's the most out of all the three, out of Bobby and out of Matthew. And but it didn't it took like Frank to kill the general. Like you learn, I know I was getting to that. I'm getting to that. Okay. So that he kills the general, and that Karen saw him as dead to her, dead. And that one scene is like, I'm already dead. And we learn in season 3 why she has a little bit of sympathy towards him is because she lost a family member too, and she was disowned by her own father, and she saw some right to, and also that plays into why she killed Fisk's secondhand man. That she is a little she accidentally killed her brother, so she knows what it's like to kill people, and that she is so she has some sympathy with Punisher Frank, that who lost his family, and he didn't have control of the situation, which Karen also didn't have control of her situation when she accidentally killed her brother. So that is why and also especially with that, the one thing that Frank didn't manage to do was to break Fisk, both physically and mentally. But Karen, who basically told him straight up to Fisk that she killed his secondhand man. She killed his I forgot. Yeah, that she killed him. I forgot his name. She killed remind me his but she killed him, and that broke him. That Wesley, yes, she killed Wesley, and she had no hesitation, no remorse, and that viciously broke him to the point where she had to die. And yeah, good character to Smith, but deserved. Yeah, that she signed her death warrant that she was willing to have Fisk's army come after her, and because she thought she could scare Fisk. But even Bobby's like, "What the hell did you just do? That you basically screwed yourself over, and Matt is nowhere near me found to help us out. So why would you do that? I don't know. I think I know, but it's the matter of that I had to make some play against him, and that is when Poindexter went after her, and also yeah, had and that is to like go to the nun in order to leave country, leave the missionaries, and like so it plays into this whole thing with Karen and Frank about how one bad day, how circumstances and how it can make or break a person. How see with Frank, he is given fully into his sadistic urges, where that is also why Karen and Bobby care about Matt, because he's the most idealistic, or he's trying to be the most idealistic person. He's trying to be that paragon, and that is why they always come back to Matt. That's why they care about him. That's why they're willing to always forgive him, because he was the foundation of them to be the morally just. And it's season 3 where he's the least morally just, the most morally ambiguous, is that they feel the most vulnerable. And it took like Karen to be in danger for Matt to realize this and to try to make amends, and even to put aside the vigilante thing and be more Matt Murdock. And yeah, that and to yeah, Matthew even takes advantage of his own friend by stealing his ID. Yeah, not just ID, his wallet, his money, his LMFA. Yeah, that it was his wallet. And Bobby was rich at the time. He managed to make it bigger in the world, being the running for district attorney. So it was stealing his wallet. So which Bobby also, I feel like Bobby is probably more healthier than Matt. Even Matt is the more idealistic. I feel like Bobby is the more pragmatic. Yet he still has idealism enough. Like there's also this one scene in season 2 where Ahsoka Tano live action Rosario Dawson's character was, and that he was with her, and they were with a bunch of like robbers and thieves, and they're about to go get each other's throats. But Bobby managed to appeal to their selfishness, to their selfish natures, and manages to rationally tell them not to kill each other, to try and to make amends, and to try to care about everyone in the hospital, including themselves. So, and to prove that I'm a lawyer, that I speak to your selfish needs and your selfish intents, to not kill each other and to take care of yourselves. Now, this shows like, and it's funny. It's like he's like Armin from Attack on Titan. I mean, I know Armin isn't exact. They're of course different, but they're the most healthiest, most level-headed characters. And even the point where in season 3 or in season 4 for Attack on Titan, they both got shaved hairs. I know I'm making like they got haircuts, and I know I'm just making a weird comparison with that. But the matter is that they're both the healthiest. They're the most level-headed, and they are the most pragmatic out of the more like morally ambiguous, the more like broken s characters of it. And that is what makes Bobby Nelson very important to Matt Murdock and Karen Page. Without the moral code that made him who he was, Matthew slipped into a very dark period in his life. by the finale of season 3, he reaffirmed his beliefs barely just with primal screen. Yes, it's that to the point where Foggy's glow up was good. I hope it's continued in Born Again. Hopefully too, yes. So, but I still have high standards, so they better watch season 3 at least over and over again if they're going to get Born Again right. So, back to all right. So all right, another red flag. The writers of the original show, to my knowledge, have not returned for Daredevil Born Again. Oof. Oof. Like I said, then they're going to have to probably watch the original series, over and over again if they are not the original writers. They're going to have to watch that over and over again to get it right if they're going to make it right, if they're going to live up to those standards. Because the standards are like all the way up to the sky that I have for this show if if they do not fit. So, So let's talk about, let's say, but it has the same fight crew from Netflix Daredevil, and it has the Punisher showrunner and new directors said they consume most Daredevil media, including show. That's good. Okay, at least good. Okay, that's reaffirming. Let's. Yes. So thank you very much for that information. Let's just hope that that is the case because they are still not the original creators, but maybe they can dutifully go off of it. They can dutifully get their homework right about the story. They can and make it right, especially since Disney's no longer focusing that much on Star Wars and more on Marvel to make it profitable and back to like Infinity Lore level of profitability. So, if they can, and also, let's talk about like the finale of season 3 as I go into more Daredevil Born Again. So that Point Dexter finds out that his his anchor, or as he calls it, like his his star, his North Star, was killed by Wilson Fisk and thought to be thought to be her breaking up with him for no reason to him, only just to screw around his mind. Also, he can have Kingpin can have him on his side more. So, yeah, after he figured out, there's just one chance. Yeah, at first, though, the script and directors were bad. Feige restarted the whole process with new directors, incredible people, LOL. They were going to kill Foggy and Karen off screen, no bullseye. You've got to be kidding me. You have got to be kidding me. Wow, Feige finally made a good decision then by making sure that happened. Good. And so, knowing that, yeah, good. Yeah. Wow. Girth at Birth, thank you for informing me on this. Like that. So, knowing that maybe Daredevil Born Again has more of a chance than I probably preconceived. I'm giving you that. I'm giving you that, Girth at Birth. I'm giving you that. All right, back to what I was saying about Point Dexter. So that he could have easily went to Matthew Murdock and because Matthew Murdock pointed out that Kingpin killed her and forced you to be his slave. He could have teamed up with Matthew to take him down, but no, he wanted blood and vengeance and to kill Fisk and on a suicide note. So and there's kind of that I kind of thought at first like with I misconceived that Daredevil by unleashing Point Dexter on Kingpin had made him break his no kill rule, but it isn't. He just thought that Point Dexter was going to see the error of his ways and join Matthew Murdock in taking down Fisk, but he didn't. He didn't at all. He showed up in the Daredevil costume and tried to kill Fisk, and and Fisk Daredevil and Poindexter Bullseye. I wonder if Poindexter is going to go after Fisk again, Born Again, or somehow down the road. It makes sense. Yeah, yeah, it's yeah. I don't know how they could have something up their sleeves about how Poindexter could get his revenge on Fisk once and for all. I don't know how exactly they would play that out, but they had this three-way brawl between Daredevil, Fisk, and Bullseye, and you felt the essence of all. And may I, before I go into it, I want to talk about that prison escape. And I'm going to talk about the action, like as a whole, with the finale and the prison break. Man, that prison escape. Yes, a very peak scene. Like, that I also love the dialogue exchanges go along with the fighting. Like, he had to go from one place to the other. He had to there was so many, like, even the criminals had to put on. You saw that the criminals put on the uniforms and disguises as you went along. There's no cuts to saying, oh, they're now in the prison disguise. You saw them put on the disguises as they went along, and as Matt was fighting against all those prisoners, and you saw the chaos, you saw the carnage, you saw the also imaging Matt being imagining being Matt and hearing all those cells open, heartbeats. Oh man, oh, that would have given you serious overstimulation. Like, you would your head, and still managing to keep his head sure, like, through all that, even with all that overstimulation. And once he got in the taxi, I bet his ears were ringing. It makes sense that he would pass out by that his brain would be swarming all over the place with everything that just happened, with Kingpin knowing his secret identity, him revealing to it, and also him having to battle his way out, facing against cops and prisoners, all just to escape, and him to be completely overstimulated to the point by the time he woke up it was night. And as the guy jumped out of the car of the of the taxi, and he found out that he was going in full Inception style, going into the okay, a little fun thing. Imagine if this was like an Inception, where he was that was all within a dream within a dream, and that he was in the taxi. Okay, a little like I was going a little far, but it was also a pretty good scene about how it was shot, like, and that guy jumped out of the taxi, and that Matt was like, oh no, I'm going into the river, and then and he managed to survive. Okay, now back to the three-way brawl between Fisk, Daredevil, and Poindexter. I do love how, yeah, a visceral, like, even like to the point where, like, the painting was and I kind of wish that three-way brawl was just as good. I wish they would save that for like the prison scene. Like, they would have saved the prison scene for last. I know that you can't always have the best scene for last, but I know that the apartment like that wouldn't be exactly the best place to have that kind of choreography. Like, but it would have been very nice to see, like, the three-way brawl be just as good as that prison scene. Like, them fighting, like, say that even Vanessa staring at them, and basically all the apartments, everything is at focus, everything is at laser high focus, and you see every part of it, you see, like, Poindexter's back being broken at full detail, like almost like Kingsman style. Like, it's very, but that wouldn't fit with the language of the film. But it would have been very nice to see something that intense for the final thing. And we get to, like, Fisk and Daredevil when he's about to kill him, but he won't kill him. He won't kill him. Even though he knows that Fisk will break out again, he will somehow like, get back his power. He knows that at least he will break him by getting Vanessa away from him again, even on their marriage, to know that she will go to prison. and that you will not see her again for a very long time, and that you both will be in prison. At least I win there. At least even if I don't win by in the long term, I win by breaking you a bit. I win that you get punished. You will not you on your marriage day, you do not win. You do not be seen as a good guy. You are seen as the villain you are, Fisk. You will lose, and you will, and both you and Vanessa will be in jail, or you'll be separated. So yeah, to end that all in season 3, and also with Foggy and Matthew and Karen talking about their successions and about like opening up their new law firm, and that that whole it's a nice like calm, and also with Matt and his nun mother um reconciling with each other, that he want Matt wants her to be his mother. He wants her to treat him like that, but he knows he can't have that. He knows that she has her commitment. He respects her decisions and choices to be a nun rather than to be his mother. So you can see his micro expressions that he wants her to be his mother, but I think in his heart he's just glad that she did act like his mother. She did treat him like his mother, even if she didn't fully treat him like a mother figure. It was good enough for him. It was good enough for everything she's done for him and his recoveries. And with that last scene in the church, with both of them went through job style trials, the end came out and the other end stronger. Yes. And it's the point where it had that great scene, like where, like, about the theological thing, and making amends with everyone, and also even with the ones who are not there, especially with Nadim like sacrificing himself, like, to make sure Fisk is taken down. And like, it's a very nice, it's a very fitting way. And this is where I kind of say it's a great finale. Honestly, even if Born Again is good, it's good enough to see the end. This is as an ending for, in my eyes at least, even if it won't be. Oh yeah. And even with Karen being like Faye, except not nearly as in that beautiful dress. Yeah, and also with Matthew not jumping out of that giant window, and him like getting a little existential right there. But definitely Vicious being like Poindexter. Oh, definitely. They have that same, oh, even the point where they both were ex-military. Huh. Yeah. And all except Poindexter also doesn't have that huge bird on his shoulder. Mm. So anyway, wrapping things up. Matt and Karen and Paige all decide to open up their own law firm together, and then we see Poindexter's spine readjusted. Who paid for that anyway? There's so much about the show that you have to pay for stuff and that realism, but who paid for his surgery anyway? How did he pay for it? Who paid for the surgery that he had? Like, with the whole realism that not everyone could afford surgery or all these things, especially spinal surgery, which must be really expensive. But like, how did they afford? How did he afford? I mean, he is military. He was, so I think he would have the money. But I think that he was out conscious. How would okay? I guess the whole thing, like, you pay after the surgery. So I think that he would have enough, even if he would be arrested. Mm. Maybe they can explain that in Born Again. Maybe. But then we see that eye, like Bullseye, the whole like with, which I thought was very creative to show how, Bullseye he has his like signature mark. All right. And now we get to the point where I talk about Daredevil Born Again. Now, with all these information that I've been given with Girth at Birth, thank you very much, and with other people. So, do I still think Daredevil Born Again can live up to the the 3 seasons of Daredevil, the original 3 seasons, maybe, maybe it could, maybe, and that's a key maybe that it might. If it's an Andor situation, if they really take their time with it, I definitely think it'll be good, but I don't think it. I mean, not beating it. I mean, will it live up to it as a continuation? Will it live up? That's what I'm now seeing it. Will it live up to being as season 4 or at least a soft reboot and good enough to continue the story of Matthew Murdock? And I say maybe, just maybe it could. And if it, I mean, but it has to get some of the key core aspects of the show down, like the everyday life of citizens, the paying of mortgages. They have to get down in the crime drama. They have to nail that down like they did in those 3 seasons. They have to get the exact details of what made those crime scenes and those court cases that appealing and that that uh, that sophisticated and mature to watch, and they have to understand that. Since you did say that Girth at Birth did tell me that the original Daredevil crew did not come back, but it was Punisher showrunner and it was other people, and they did watch the original seasons. Yeah, but it probably will definitely be better than She-Hulk and Echo. It will definitely be better than that. But it's still, if they had the dedication enough, if they have at least, it will definitely nowhere near be as bad as how the characters are betrayed She-Hulk and Echo. And I'm at least pleased and pleasantly surprised by the trailer showing that, oh no, we're definitely not going to go the route of those abortions of shows. We're definitely going to try and get this right. And if they do get Born Again right, then maybe it could, if they just approach this the entire MCU, then maybe it can be a ripple effect. Maybe the MCU could be saved. Or maybe at least this show will at least be a diamond in the rough. It could, if, and I mean if, and that's a big if. All right, so that was my take on Daredevil as a whole, my live stream and also my thoughts on Born Again. So I hope you enjoyed this live stream, and as this is also the villain being Muse is also interesting. He makes art out of his victims, bodies and blood. LOL. Definitely not She-Hulk. Definitely, yeah. And also, that was a 2016 villain. And also, I've definitely read Moon Knight from 2016 issues 1 to 16. They did, the one where Moon Knight, Mark Spector was in that lunatic asylum, and he was bouncing around with his other personalities. And back to Moon Knight. If only Moon Knight season 2, maybe Moon Knight season 2, if they do Moon Knight season 2 like we want with Daredevil Born Again, then that would be great. That would be awesome. Hell, even a crossover between Daredevil and Moon Knight, that could work also. They've done it in the comics, so why not? So Oscar Isaac and also Charlie Cox in a role that they both will enjoy, and so that would be amazing if we could get that level of sophistication with both characters. And they both, maybe Born Again could allude to the idea of crossing over with Moon Knight. Hell, they both even live in New York and Queens, and I think it's Queens, or is it but definitely Daredevil lives in Hell's Kitchen, of course, but I don't know where Moon Knight lives. And is it Queens or is it Manhattan? I don't know. I don't know, but yeah, that would be awesome to see Moon Knight, since Moon Knight's in the MCU. That Yeah, to see Mark Spector, Stephen Grant, and Jake Lockley all meet Matthew Murdock, and even the Punisher and Bullseye. That, and done right, that would be incredible. That would absolutely make us forgive them almost for everything they've done with Echo and She-Hulk. Maybe, but definitely it will definitely please us better than those. All right, the live stream is over. Thank you all for watching, and Spider-Man, and I mean, yeah, that could work too because they did show up in No Way Home. Yeah, that would be nice too if Tom Holland's still up for it and the writing's still good. All right, the live stream has ended. Thank you all, and I bid you all good night or good day, whatever.